The infield, outfield, and bullpen still must be sorted and decided, but the Twins made it simple for us to project their starting rotation to open the 2025 season. That assumes no more injuries, hopefully anywhere on the roster in the next 10 days before the season starts against the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, you know what they say about assuming? It means you have to get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team. It's your team every day. Don't forget to hit click. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Don't forget to click hit. No. We're applicable. Just do it. Do it. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer since I don't know who was on the Twins roster. Who knows what they were doing in those days. I'm also, right. I'm also a BBWA member. I'm a Hall of Fame voter. I'm a friend of Brandon Warren, who's across the Great Plains of cyberspace. Brandon probably could name you all the 1998 Twins if we gave him about 2 seconds. So can you do that?
Roberto Kelly. That's probably 96.
It's close enough. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both as the site expert at Puckett's Pond, a blog about the Twins. Go read Puckett's Pond. On the podcast today, we're going to project out the 2025 roster for the Minnesota Twins. It's a little more than a week until they shout play ball for real at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It's supposed to be 53 degrees and sunny a week from Thursday there. So it looks like they'll get it in. Before we get to all that stuff, we want to tell you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So go see FanDuel.com right now and get on that. Get on it. Get on it. Start betting your fans and dueling with them. Brad, we're going to start with the Minnesota Twins starting pitchers and the catchers. Pitchers and catchers report. Not you, relievers. You wait for a moment. Then we'll slide into the other part of the defense, the infield. Catchers are infielders too, but they're on their own time, their own place. So these are the other infielders we expect to make the opening day roster, the non-catchers. And we'll get out there into the pasture and check the outfield. And finally, we have the bullpen, the deepest part of the team. Although maybe a little shallower today with the loss of Brock Stewart for who knows how long. And we'll have the relievers put the cherry on top. But the starting pitchers, Brandon, it's easy peasy lemon squeezy because they told us already who's going to be on the roster. It's like cheating on a quiz, but you didn't do anything wrong. It's great. Mm-hmm. We know who they are. They're Pablo Lopez. He's going to start opening day. Joe Ryan, even though he's only thrown 92 pitches in spring training. He's going to start the second game. Bailey Ober will start the third game. Chris Paddock will start the fourth game. And Simeon Woods Richardson will start the fifth game of the season. This is, of course, rainouts pending and who knows what other disasters there are. So, I mean, we can't project this too much because they've already given us the answer. But your thoughts, we've talked about it a little before on the other show, a couple of these spots, but your thoughts overall on the starters.
Yeah, so on Puckett's Pond, I wrote my second projection, I guess. We're about a little less than 2 weeks out. I think you said 11 days, 10, depending on when people watch or listen to this. But it's the Fab Five that we've expected all along. I have last man out, Zebby Matthews. Really, it was a pick-em between him and Festa as far as how they're viewed in the organization. But I think Zebby got a bit of an advantage for how well he pitched this spring. And I think also, too, that it went to show that no matter how well Zebby pitched, he wasn't going to make the team short of one of the top five getting injured. So no surprises here. And I feel kind of like we're not giving people what they paid for by not arguing over the starting rotation. But, you know, as I mentioned in our most recent episode, outside of putting Chris Paddock in the bullpen and moving Zebby into the rotation with all the, the topsy-turviness in the bullpen with injuries. There's no real room for surprises here. And one thing I think we should do is count our blessings that pitching went as planned. There's other things on this team, in fact, pretty much at every other level / facet of this team that have not gone to plan. So when your rotation is the 5 you set it out to be at the beginning of spring training, I think you should just say, hey, we'll take it, cross your fingers, knock on wood, whatever you need to do.
Your idea about putting Chris Paddock in the bullpen, he's had the attitude that, I'll do whatever they want kind of a thing. I think he probably prefers to be a starter because that's how it's been done in his career so far. I did think when I heard that, and we're not talking about the relief pitchers yet, we're going to talk about the catchers here in a second. When I heard that Stewart had gone down with a strained hamstring of some sort, that an injury that disappeared almost as immediately as it arose, oddly enough, I thought maybe that would be a spot for Paddock or somebody. I think that, and bringing up Zebby, that would kind of make sense to fill that role. But we don't know yet. If it turns out that Paddock is hurt, do you see something like that possibly happening?
You mean Stewart is hurt?
Conventional reliever.
If Stewart is hurt?
That's what I meant, yes.
Oh, you said Paddock.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go back that route, though. I just don't think it's going to happen retroactively, especially now that everybody's been sent out. Funderburk, everybody. The Brock Stewart thing kind of reminds me of time in my youth where I had gone to a service station to get my oil changed. They brought my car out, and before I could get in it, somebody backed into it. And so I went to an insurance adjuster, and he looked at it, said, "You get $400. Go get it fixed." And then I got home and the dent popped itself out and I had $400. And so I bought a PS3. So that was a great day for me. But maybe the dent will just pop out in Brock Stewart's knee. And maybe I just admitted to problematic insurance usage on.
You're not one of those Dogecoin fraudsters, are you?
No, sorry. No, absolutely not.
Not at all. All right. Well, we'll get back to the bullpen in a second, but we want to talk about the catchers. I mean, they haven't made an announcement yet, and I know Jefferson Morales has been pretty good in the spring, at least at the plate. But the catchers are and have been, and perhaps always will be, Ryan Jeffers and Christian Vasquez. They're, people talked about trading Vasquez over the winter. I didn't really see it. I don't know about like how valuable he is with the salary, or like how valuable he would be to the, as far as losing him for the Twins, as far as that goes. So those guys, I think Jeffers probably will start opening day. I think he made 17 out of the 32 Pablo starts last year, including opening day. They tend to split the time back there for him. So, but I'd say we'll see that. It could be possible that Jeffers does DH on opening day, depending on, I don't know if Rocco's going to do that or not, but if like Mickey Gasper, not to give anything away, makes the team as an extra man, he's got catching experience. You could put Jeffers in a DH and Vasquez a catcher if you're dying to have him catch Lopez. I don't know that Lopez had a 5 ERA with Vasquez back there, 5.29, and was 3.09 with Jeffers. I don't know if that's real or not, but I mean that's 2 runs. That's a lot. So some flexibility there as far as the Twins are concerned. What do you think of the catchers, Brandon?
Honestly, and this is something I think people should not underrate, but a healthy catching core is huge. It's huge because you see the rabbit hole go down if you have one injured catcher who's a big part of your rotation, like your catching rotation. But when you have both, and suddenly you have Juan Centeno catching, or Sandy Leone, or whoever, it matters. It matters a lot. Those guys are, I wouldn't say the quarterbacks on the defensive side, because that wouldn't be a really mixed metaphor. But like the thing that they do for the team goes beyond statistics. And if you were to say that no trade they could have made for Vasquez that came across their desk would have been a net positive, I would have said That makes sense. Yes, they're paying him $10 million. Yes, he might have a 60 weighted runs created plus, but I'm not getting $10 million worth of value by trading him and signing another catcher. If that's not the case, I'm not trading him. It doesn't make any sense. And, kudos to everybody involved that they didn't have to do that in order to make room for Harrison Bader and Danny Coulomb. Because, again, you would have had a hard time selling me that would have been a net positive, even though it might have saved a few pennies on the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And, I still think maybe it won't be a huge, long peak, but I think the best of Ryan Jeffers is still yet to come at the plate. I think he will make a little bit of an improvement in the consistency department this year. And if he can also stay hot at those hot times and not get so cold in the cold times, that's a very valuable person to have behind the plate, and a good solid complementary catching duo. Like you said, you can't overestimate how important that is, just to have those guys back there consistently all the time. We're going to take our first break and then come back with more Locked On Twins.
Sorry, I kind of shoved you out.
You skipped me again. This is 2 episodes in a row. I'm paying attention. I'm watching you.
Shoved you out of the frame there. But hey, March Madness is here. March Sadness, if you are a DePaul or Minnesota fan. I think DePaul is an 18 seed. Is that right? I think Minnesota's a 20. So, but hey, FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. So if you want to bet one of those 5-12s or one of those, I'm trying to do math in my head here, and it's not going well. 7-10s, you go if you want to do a 7-10 split. Right now, new
teams in the bracket, so just add one, and that's how you know.
Yeah, math. Yeah. Or if you think one of the first 4 is going to sneak into the final 4, like we saw about 13, 14 years ago. Now's the time to get in on it on FanDuel, because new customers will get $200 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to your favorite Cinderella story. Maybe your team has a super old nun that is their good luck charm, like Loyola. Pretty doubtful unless you're a school like Loyola, but I'm not here to judge. But you can bet on all of that, or even who's going to cut down the nets if you really like Auburn, or if you really think there's a chance for Gonzaga to make some waves. Actually, Pepperdine is the waves, I think. But anyway, getting my WCC teams.
You zagged when you should have zagged.
Yep. Well, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm still kind of trying to figure out who my favorites are, getting the lay of the land. But you can jump in as soon as you're ready at FanDuel.com. Get in on the college hoop action all tournament long. Again, FanDuel.com is the place to go.
Locked On Twins, we are previewing, projectile vomiting? No. The Twins roster
not yet
for 2025. We're moving to the outfield right now. I think I said we were going to go to the infield first and then the outfield, but I'm switching it up on you. We're going to go to the outfield first. Is that all right?
Yep.
I've got 5 outfielders, and this is not counting Willie Castro. We've got Trevor Larnach, Byron Buxton, Matt Wallner in the starting outfield, Harrison Bader as first starter off the bench. 5th outfielder, Austin Martin.
Russell Martin.
I've got Austin Martin. I was thinking of Julian and French Canadians, and that's my excuse.
Edward Julien, he's a French Canadian. That might be the new version of it if he doesn't rule again.
That's pretty. Did you just think of that now?
Yeah.
I think stupid things are genius. But I think that's genius. There's some kind of genius.
Wait,
so I've got Austin Martin.
That? Okay, never mind.
I'm not. I am. He's not the overall numbers offensively. He kind of bottomed out there, and now he's kind of bouncing back a little bit with a few good games here and there at the plate. He sort of made his whatever on defense. He's got more experience than Kersey. Kersey keeps hitting and presumably keeps making plays in the outfield. I don't have any evidence of that lately, but
well, this was the first TV game for the Twins, and they've been sporadic at best to this point in the spring.
Yes. So I've got Martin as the fifth outfielder, and then not to give away the infield, but Willie Castro's on the infield side.
Okay.
So that could be six outfielders. The thing is that if Larnach is the DH, then you got Buxton, Wallner, and Bader. And if you don't have Martin, then Castro's your only backup outfielder. Else you might lose the DH if Rocco needs to put Wallner in the outfield, and putting him in the outfield later in the game is not ideal. But you see what I mean. It's
Larnach in that case. Yeah.
What did I say?
Wallner.
Oh no.
He'd better already be out there.
Should we start the show over?
No, probably not. No, but hey, as far as outfielders go, so I'm Larnach, Buxton, Wallner, Bader.
Yes.
And that's it. I'm not doing Kiersey. I'm not doing Martin. I'm not doing who else is in that conversation? That's more or less it.
And Castro.
Well, yeah, and I think he's just a unicorn. Like it's like trying to do the tidy little 26-man projections every year, and Ben Zobrist is on your team. Like, you can't put him in any one spot and feel good about it, but you know he's going to play 147 games and get 600 plate appearances. So it's not quite to that level, but it's like Rocco's going to bring him wherever he goes. You know, he's like, all right, where's Willie today? Now write out the rest of the lineup. So it's hard to really say he's either or, but obviously, you know, he's in my projection just as an infielder, I think, technically, based on these four outfielders.
I think they need the extra outfielder just because Larnach is going to DH a lot. So he's not going to be in the outfield, available to be the outfielder.
Well, and it changes now with Miranda maybe playing third base. You know, Miranda could DH a lot. And who makes the team in Lewis's spot it's probably not going to be someone who plays third base exclusively, because, I mean, the only player they really have in camp that is Alvarez. Didn't he say at the beginning of spring, he's like, I'm a third baseman now, and they're not bringing him up. So.
Right. And we still have Byron Buxton hasn't played more than 100 games, but twice in his career. Yeah. So you've got Larnach, who's heavy DH right now, especially with Lewis, because, you know, with Miranda not probably playing there because he's playing third. And I just want to make sure they have enough bodies. Now, I love Kiersey. I'd love to see him make the team. I think I don't know if he needs to play more every day anymore. You know, he's 27. Martin actually might be the guy that needs to play more. Mm-hmm. Martin, though, what you do have there, if you had to put him at second base in a 10-inning game or something, you could do it. That's kind of nice to have. And he hasn't hit as well as Kiersey, but he's played the outfield as well as he has.
And is a righty.
He's a righty. Kiersey's a lefty, though, with a 0 split. So, although if he gets into major league games, will that still be a 0 split? I don't know.
Well, he actually he faced, I think it was Crochet today, and had a nice, I mean, it was a 57 hopper against the modified shift, snuck it into the outfield. But Crochet was throwing darts today.
Yeah.
Or I guess yesterday as it was, because we're going to be dropping this on Monday morning. But yeah, I could see a scenario where Kiersey makes it, and I would not have a problem with that. I think the outfield is too left-handed as is, and that's not his fault. But I think Martin gets the nudge there. And then, like you said, too, yeah, the added bonus of, you could squint and put him at second base, and it wouldn't be too bad in the 12th inning of a game. That's a thing, too.
Plus, I think Martin, to reemphasize my point, Martin's camp has been positive. You know, he doesn't have a great OPS right now, but he's played really good on defense, and he's shown kind of that spark that they thought he might have before.
He's turned into a pretty decent outfielder. I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed.
So everything is connected here. So let's check out the infield here. I've got Miranda as the opening day third baseman, but I guess that's all subject to change depending on what Rocco's working on. Carlos Correa at short, Brooks Lee at second, Ty France at first, and then extra guys. Castro's not really an extra guy. You'll probably see him in the lineup somewhere. Mickey Gasper makes the team as a second baseman.
That was the whole reason I wrote the revised projection. Was like, you know what? I want to be the first or one of the first to say that one of the Super Mario Brothers is going to be on the opening day roster. And I thought that before this injury, I thought he had a good chance. And in fact, because I dropped the column before the injury news from Sunday, but I don't know how you can keep Mickey off the team with how he's performed this spring. And beyond that, I mean, having a third catcher-ish guy in your back pocket, that to me just seems like the kind of thing that like Rocco Baldelli warms his hands to at night over the fire. Like, ooh, it's like what Ron Gardenhire was always desiring in those years was a third catcher. Doesn't have to be somebody who's great at it, but if I can have one of those, I'll feel safe at night.
Was Toby a catcher, his son?
No.
He wasn't.
Utility infielder. And
like Gardenhire. I remember Gardenhire as a player with the Mets. He's not very good. But.
His mom used to call him, Ronnie. Oh, Ronnie. It was actually funny. He would tell stories about that because she actually had, I think, Alzheimer's towards the end of her life. And every time she'd call him up, oh, Ronnie. And it was always humorous to hear him. You could tell how much he loved his mom in the stories that he told.
So I think I have Gasper taking Lewis's spot. I think that's why I have him.
Okay.
I think he might make the team. He might make the team anyway. That might be Martin or my extra outfielder in Lewis's spot.
Okay.
So Miranda, you can play at third. Lee, you can play at third. Castro, you can play at third. Gasper, you can play first, second catcher. So that gives them some flexibility there. Brooks Lee looks like he's going to be the second baseman, but you can also put him over at third base. So there's flexibility, which is important. It's not just like, well, in 10 days, we might need one of these guys to play third base. No, the way Rocco does is sometime in the first series of the year, you're going to need somebody to play third and somebody to play second and mixing and matching. So,
yep. I went with Eddie Julien in the infield over Martin in the outfield, and exclusively because I think there's going to be a scenario where Brooks Lee shifts to third, Miranda DHs, Bader doesn't play as much against righties, where Larnachson left. They're going to want to put out what is colloquially known as the demon lineup. And I think that in that event, Edward Julien, I mean, maybe batting 8th ahead of the catcher or 9th if it's Jeffers. I think Julien, but you could convince me either way. Do they need that many outfielders? Do they need that many infielders? It's like, at the end of the day, your 26th man will do whatever your preference is. And for me, if the infield is the problem spot, and with Lewis out, that's kind of my conclusion, I'm going with Eddie Julien and possibly even starting him at second base on opening day. Again, a lot comes down to Willie and who's going to DH and all that stuff. But I have Eddie Julien making the team. I don't know how I feel about that because I've been pretty critical of the fact that he couldn't hit anything other than fastballs last year. However, here we are.
That's not being critical. You're just being factual.
Well, that too.
I don't know if Eddie's been hitting the ball better in the past few days. He's been getting results. He's been getting hits. Yep. He hasn't been hitting it hard though, or he wasn't until I kind of got sidetracked. I didn't see the last couple games, but
hey, his
numbers are good. Well, we can finish up the infield and go to our break and then.
We'll go to our break and then when we come back, we can get back to it.
Fine.
Yeah. But we got to give some love to Monarch Money, one of our newest sponsors. If you've ever checked your bank account or if you've gotten one of those messages that says, hey, running a little low, and you wonder where all your money went, well, Monarch Money wants to help you because between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's pretty easy to lose track of those expenditures. And that's where Monarch Money comes into play. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. I've been kind of poking around on it, and the features are endless. You can figure out your net worth, find out your, what's left on your mortgage. You should probably know that anyway, but I'm just saying it tracks it all in one place and makes it very, very easy to not only manage your money, but actually start turning it towards wealth, building that snowball that is just beneficial for you, paying stuff off and all that stuff. But you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. and it's called Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com, and you'll get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year.
Locked On Twins, the home stretch. We've been projecting the Twins roster for opening day, and we've gone over the catchers and the starting pitchers and the outfielders and the infielders. We're going to finish up with the bullpen because the bullpen finishes up in real life. That's how it works, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I like my analogies. They're taking 8 pitchers with them. I think that's the number. Are they limited to 8? With 5
13.
starters?
It's 13 with starters. Can we just, because we're short for time, can we just eliminate Duran, Jax, Sands, Alcala, and Kulam from the conversation? Those guys are the in, right?
I think at this point, Varland is too.
6. Okay, so basically there's 2 spots left open that we should discuss in the next 6 minutes here.
Oh boy, I like when I love when you get efficient. So the 2 spots, the one guy, he's been all over the place, and I mean that like with his pitches. Iverson Castellano, the Rule 5 guy. I'm not 100% convinced that he's going to go north with them.
I have him out.
You have him out.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, but I do think it's probably going to go down to the wire. I've seen at least one Rule 5 guy returned recently, and maybe more than that. But I just I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe they might be tempted to look at him under the microscope of actual major league games and say, all right, well, we'll try this. We've got like a musical chairs bullpen anyway with the back end of the guy, not the back end, but the roster spots, the 23rd, 24th, 25th roster spots. We're kind of interchangeable there. Let's see what he can do in a big league game when everything is crazy. And then we can always eject when if it doesn't go well.
So I have it as he's out just because I don't know that a team that wants to be good can really light a roster spot on fire like that. If the White Sox wanted him, and I think I said this before, like, yeah, sure, that would make sense. That'd make a lot of sense, actually. Might even close for the White Sox after Prolander Baroa got hurt. And now, since Brock Stewart's, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it kind of leaves 2 open spots, right? And so I had them bringing along Anthony Misowicz over Cody Funderburk. Funderburk got sent out on Sunday, but that doesn't mean Misowicz or Misavich. It doesn't mean that he's got that much better of a chance. But when I compared the 2, I thought, okay, Misavich has a little more big league experience. He's been a little better in the big leagues. They're going to have a 40-man spot because Cantorino's out. And so usually the guy that's on the 40 has the advantage. But in this case, I think they bring along the vet. Now, if you wanted to say Scott Blewett instead as that spot, I would have no qualms. And in fact, I think it could go either way. But now with room for possibly 2 guys, maybe Castellano comes back into the calculus for me. I'm not sure. You see, I've spent the whole day working on college basketball, so I'm kind of trying to rewire in my brain how it will go. Because we have the 6 givens, but then as far as roster guys, there's not much in the way left. So they're going to have to get creative with the last 2 spots. It might be Castellano and either Misavich or Blewett. I think that two of those 3 maybe make the team.
I've got Blewett going into Stewart's spot.
Okay.
I have Castellano making the team. But I have.
Well, he's on the 40, so I think you're right. I think that's a good point. You may have talked me into Castellano because he's on the 40 by virtue of the Rule 5, and they're only going to probably want to open up 1 spot. I can't imagine they're going to DFA anybody right now. There's just no real obvious candidates.
True, but I do have Misavich as I've possibly Misavich in parentheses with Castellaно's spot. The other thing they could do, they were very quick to send a bunch of guys down who were having really good camps, rookies, and other, Dobnak's had a good camp and so forth, but Corey Lewis and so forth, maybe with
Morris.
that knuckleball. So they do have some options there. It would require some finagling with the 40-man roster, and maybe they don't want to do that yet.
Right.
But
do they have anybody else that's a 60-day candidate? I guess I haven't even really. You'd hope not with Brock Stewart or
you hope it wouldn't be Royce.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty much the three you'd look at right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
no, I don't think there's any. I think Cantorino's the only 60-day option, and so you might be onto something with Castellano making the team, especially now with Funderburk being sent out when he was. So,
and I think you sort of hinted at this with the 2 extra spots. You can be a little experimental with Castellano and see what he does.
Maybe they claim
role.
somebody too. Maybe they claim someone off.
That's
because there's going to be a lot of guys. I mean, Michael Tonkin 2.0 might try to pass through waivers, and suddenly the Twins have, their next reliever. By the way,
it's very likely that there will be somebody like that.
Quickly, thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. But for your second, check out Locked On MLB with our friend Sully, who has a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason, spring training, etc. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to make sure to get that in there.
No, that's all right. We're going to wish everybody a pleasant good evening for listening and watching Locked On Twins. We've been doing the roster projection. We'll see how accurate we are. We'll see who's on waivers in the next 10 days. We'll see what the injury situation is. We'll see if people can perform down the stretch in spring training. But for Brandon, this is Dave wishing you all a very pleasant good evening and saying we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.